Whether you need to buy or sell a piece of real estate, you can count on Brandy Buntert and BST Realty to provide the best service and make the entire process as smooth and painless as possible. Call or text 931-332-3430 to arrange a meeting to figure out how she can best help you meet your real estate needs. Buying or selling real estate doesn't have to be strenuous when you let Brandy do the heavy lifting. Call today 931-332-3430.
I told you that front tire needed air.
I know, Dad.
Where's the tire iron? I told you, always keep a tire iron and a jack.
I know, Dad. I got it. Roadside assistance is included with my shelter insurance auto policy. It's one of the reasons you told me to get it, remember?
Maybe you do listen after all.
At Shelter, listening to you is what we do best.
Contact Jason Ray or Boston Ray at 217 South Main Street, Waynesboro, 722-5592. Check out the great name brand equipment of Pickwick Saul, 1645 Wayne Road in Savannah. Pickwick Saul has a great selection of Gravely and Skag mowers, steel trimmers, and don't forget to bring your equipment in now for a tune-up. Pickwick Saul, 1645 Wayne Road in Savannah, 731-727-8026. That's 731-727-8026.
You and your family's good health is important to your locally owned Health Mart pharmacy. We urge you to know the important numbers when it comes to your health. Monitor your blood pressure, cholesterol, and your BMI or body mass index. Knowing these numbers and having an overall fitness plan can lead to a more satisfying, active, and healthy lifestyle for you and your family. Got questions? Health Mart has the answers. We truly want to be a trusted healthcare resource for you and your family.
Visit your local Durhan's Health Mart pharmacy with locations in Waynesboro, Linden, and Hohenwald.
Good evening. We want to welcome you to the West End Community Center. We have a debate tonight live at the West End Community Center with our live audience. Thank you for joining us. If you join us on 100.7 Big Oldies, or if you're listening online, we're glad you're with us. The live audience is here tonight. We've instructed them or asked them to please be quiet during the time that we give our four candidates a chance to speak. And as always, we want to open with a prayer and a pledge of allegiance. We're going to ask Pastor David Morgan to come up front and lead us in both of those.
As a pastor and father of five, these kind of things matter to me. It's very important that we're here. It's very important that we tune in. It's very important that we pay attention to who represents us at our state legislature. So kudos to these guys for being here tonight, being willing to run for this office. And let's just pray and believe that the best person would be in that seat. Would you just bow your heads with me? Heavenly Father, thank you tonight for your divine providence in the history of this country. God, we are who we are today because you've walked with us, you've been with us every step of the way. God, many of our families, many of the folks here tonight, they are who they are because of your grace and your mercy. And God, we will remain a great nation and we will remain strong families only through your grace and only through your mercy. So God, tonight I pray that you would shower us with your grace. Guide this debate, be with these gentlemen as they share their heart and share their passion for leadership in this state. And I just pray, God, that you would guide everything we do through the power and the grace of your Holy Spirit. In Jesus' name, amen. The flag is behind you there on the wall if you'd like to turn. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Pastor David Morgan. Tonight we will begin the debate with giving each candidate 2 minutes to introduce themselves to the online audience here with us. So they'll each be given 2 minutes. Then after that, we will begin a question and answer session. Each candidate will be given the same question. We're going to start in alphabetical order, and we will go down the list. Then, if one of the candidates references another candidate here on the stage, that candidate will be given 90 seconds to respond. And then we're going to try to move forward. We're going to ask that the audience be quiet, that they do not call out any questions, responses, or make any noises or applause during the debate. We appreciate your attendance here tonight. I'm also going to ask you to go ahead and silence your cell phones right now. If you have a cell phone with you, to please silence that to give these gentlemen a fair chance tonight to answer these questions. We will take about a 3 or 4 minute intercession break somewhere around the 7 o'clock hour, just letting you know what we're intending to do. So tonight we're going to get right into it. We're excited to have each one here. Across the front of the stage we have Kip Cat, and we have Jason Rich, and we also have Mitchell Skelton, and we have Bill White here with us here this evening, and we're thankful that each one are here. I want to start off with Kip Cat in alphabetical order. Kip, go ahead. You have 2 minutes to introduce yourself. Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to thank the West End Community Center and our listeners on the radio for giving us this opportunity. I'd like to thank everyone that is in attendance today, and I hope that we can communicate ourselves well and hope that you decide who is the best candidate for this race. So my name is Kip Capley. I'm from Summertown, Tennessee. I'm a 7th generation Tennessean. My family's been in Lawrence County since 1845. Like everything, it starts with your family. My father served in the United States Army for 28 years, did 7 tours of combat in Iraq and Afghanistan, and my mother is a scientist at St. Thomas in Nashville. With that being said, I've had the privilege to travel across the world. I've been to over 28 countries, lived in 2, spent some time in Germany, and I've got to experience different cultures as well as the great state of Tennessee, which is obviously why we're back home. As a younger man, I did some missions work in the Dominican Republic, spreading the word for our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Then it comes to building churches and bringing food to those that were in need. But that was not it for me. The Lord was not done with me yet. After that, I taught martial arts to underprivileged youth in the inner city. While in college, I worked on 2 presidential campaigns. You can probably guess which one it was. It won't be too hard. And then I worked in a congressional office with Congressman Mark Green for some time, working with his veterans as they are so near and dear to my home. Once that was over, I started my career in consulting. I did work for small businesses as well as a GOP strategy type organizations. So I guess to say I am not a career politician. I am a public servant, and I'm a member of your community. The Lord's not done with me, and He's called me to fulfill this role, and I hope that I can earn your vote, and I'd be honored to have it. Thank you.
Thank you. Jason Rich.
Thank you, Brandon. And again, thank you, West End. What a great night to be here. You just don't see many things like this in local communities, so we appreciate the effort that you put forth. My name is Jason Rich. I'm from Collinwood. I've spoken to a lot of you in the room. Most of you have either heard me or you've read my material, so I won't go into a great detail about that, but I will tell you why I'm here tonight. I'm here tonight for you to learn more about me. You hear things through campaigns all the time. Hey, you know what so-and-so said about so-and-so. But the real opportunity to learn a candidate is in a forum just like this. Either during the question and answer or even after or before during the meal. It's good to talk with you all. So I just want you all to know that tonight you're going to get us, you're going to get me, you're going to get all of me, and I hope that at the end of the night you're able to see which candidate really stands out for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason Rich. I'll ask you to keep your applause down tonight. Thank you. Next, Mitchell Skelton.
Good evening. It's good to see all of you this evening at the West End Community Club, and I feel like a broken record sometimes, and especially when I come back to places like this that I've been several times, and I know so many people that are in the audience. But for those of you that don't know me, and for those of you that are watching online and will be joining later, as you watch this online, I'm from Waynesboro, Tennessee, and I am an entrepreneur. I own my own business along with my wife, which I've been in business for myself for, ever since I graduated college, and that was a long time ago. I'm also a minister. And I started off my ministry right here in Lawrence County, just up the road at the Midway Church of Christ. And now I'm a minister at the Waynesboro Church of Christ. I've been in ministry for 20 years. And that is something that's near and dear to my heart. I am a Christian, I am a conservative, and I am a Republican. And that is the things that guide me in my everyday life. As I go around the 71st District and I talk to people, they want to know what we're going to do to help improve things for their lives. And the things that we're going to do is we're going to restore Christian values. We're going to restore conservative values. We're going to make sure that Tennessee is the one state, at least, that follows the Constitution. Our state constitution, and also the federal constitution. Free speech and Second Amendment, and we want to make sure that especially again those Christian values are something that we can be proud of, and we don't have to worry about being taken away from us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Skelton. Bill White.
Yeah, thank you very much, Brandon. Bill White, I'm from Mount Pleasant, currently the mayor in Mount Pleasant as well. I've been there for, I was starting on my 4th year as mayor. Prior to that, I was a vice mayor. Soon to be 62. I'm a retired 40-year banker. It's good to say that, retired. Being mayor of Mount Pleasant has probably taught me more about what this role would encompass than anything just budgets. When you start looking at a budget the size of the community we've got, economic development, one of the things we're very proud of in Mount Pleasant, and I said we because it took a whole community to do it, is if you'll see my handout, we printed that out. It said that we created $260 million in economic development. Well, before we could get it printed, we had another $79 million commit. So we're well over $300 million right now in economic development commitments. Created just over 800 jobs. So we're kind of on the right path. We're getting a lot of homes built, and that's nice to see. But again, I want to reiterate that it's taken all of us to do that. Father of 2, 7 grandchildren. I'm glad they're not all at once here. It'd be tough to try to run them down. But currently on the board of Maury County Chamber of Commerce, as well as on the Economic Development Committee, as well as South Central Tennessee Development Committee. Been a big push for that, formerly on the board of the Boys and Girls Club. I feel like that's very important to try to help families that maybe aren't all together, try to come together. And it's been rewarding to do that, and very humbling. So again, thanks to West End Community Center and everybody that's put this on. I look forward to the evening.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to start our first question, starting in alphabetical order with Kip Cackley, and then we'll move down the line with each consecutive question after that. So, Kip, I'm just going to start right out the gate, and I'm going to, because of the lack of time that we have and the time constraints, I want to go into those hot topic questions that we're hearing about right out of the headlines. It's affecting the citizens here, and also that you're going to hear on our national media. And so, for each one of you gentlemen, I'll start with Kip. Would you define the Second Amendment for me?
Sure, absolutely. The Second Amendment is your God-given right to defend yourself with firearms, that is also given to us by the United States Constitution. Now, one thing that you're going to hear in the news that's popular is we need to raise the age to buy AR-15s from 18 to 21. I hate to break it to you, but that is not the answer. Gun control is not the answer. Restricting individual rights is not the answer. Because as many of you know, just as well as I do, it's a whole lot harder to get something back from Uncle Sam than it is to give it to him. Okay? We have to increase transparency within the government system. We cannot give up an inch of our individual rights, especially with the current federal administration that we have right now. And as your next representative, I will not stand for any movement on the Second Amendment at all. I'm a member of the Tennessee Firearms Association. I helped start the NRA chapter at MTSU. We're not going to touch guns, and they're not going to touch guns. And that is my solemn promise to you as your next representative.
Thank you. Jason Rich, define the Second Amendment.
Most simple definition is it's the right for people to bear arms, to keep and bear arms, and to form a militia. There's been a lot of controversy. There's been a lot of debate about what the founders were really thinking. It's very simple. It's really simply in that amendment, and it's our right to keep and bear arms. There's no question that we cannot start regulating these things, because as soon as you do, it's a slippery slope, and we will go down too quickly. So 100% in favor of every person that wants to buy and keep a handgun or long gun or whatever that is, that it's theirs, and that's our right as Americans.
Thank you. Mitchell Skelton, will you please define the Second Amendment?
When I teach Bible class, sometimes people will read a verse and you'll ask, what does that verse mean? And people will answer, says what it means, and it means what it says. Second Amendment is exactly that. It is absolute. We have the absolute right to keep and bear arms. And I will never vote to take that away. The rights that we have to have our weapons should not be infringed upon. And if we slide 1 inch, then the rest of the rights that we have in this country, that will start to chip away at those too. I'm absolutely 100% certain of that. So nothing will come before me in the legislature that I will vote for that will take away our rights as law-abiding citizens to have our purchase and to keep the weapons that we have.
Thank you. Bill White, will you please define the Second Amendment?
The right to keep and bear arms. It's pretty simple, really. I'm a sportsman. Thank the Lord my father's in the audience, and he got me started very early at that. It's been a great family thing that we've done for our lives together, and that has been certainly a pleasure. I'll never vote to relinquish it. That's much like what these other gentlemen have said. You relinquish that one, you better watch what's coming behind it, because it's going to be a big wave, and it won't be pretty. Again, I think it is our inalienable right to be able to keep and bear those arms, and you don't have to worry about me on that one.
All right, thank you. Jason Rich, second question. Going right off the Second Amendment here, we're going to go right into the next question. This has been a hot topic for a lot of folks I've talked to. What legislation would you support or introduce to keep our schools safe without infringing on the Second Amendment?
Actually, I can't think that any of that legislation would infringe on the Second Amendment. This is clearly a topic that we're all going to struggle with. Every person in the community is going to have a different opinion about that. I have 3 kids in public school at Collinwood. Don't think for a second that it doesn't cross my mind constantly. I think we would need to find something that's a good balance, because you have some teachers who are prepared to be armed. And for those teachers, I support that. You have some teachers that are as scared of a gun as they are a snake, and I don't want to force a gun on them either. Stacey and I have had conversations several times about that. I'm not sure what legislation would look like, but I could certainly support some type of controlled firearm in every school, other than just the SRO officers. Those SRO officers, they have a huge job. I think we have one at Collinwood Schools that tries to cover all 3 of those schools. So there's just no way, if someone wanted to plan an attack, then they could clear to make that happen. So I would certainly support legislation that would allow for firearms to be in schools under a controlled situation that's an anonymous situation, because if the perpetrator knows which teacher has the gun or which principal or where it's at, then obviously you've got an issue there. But that's where I stand right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving down the line. Rachel Skelton, what legislation would you support or would you introduce to keep our schools safe without infringing on the Second Amendment?
The number one thing I think we need to do in this country is go back and look at why a lot of these things are happening. Obviously, mental health is one of those that needs to be addressed. In 1990, gun-free zones were created, and our children were sent off to school in soft targets, and that needs to be fixed. It needs to be fixed today. We need to take a look at all the money that has came down from the federal government to improve schools. COVID was a great excuse to spend a ton of money. A lot of that money has not been spent. Let's use that money. Let's harden our schools. Let's make our children safe. It's that important. And then we need to make sure that the teachers that want to carry are trained and carry. And I am a firm believer that that we should train teachers if they want to carry. And we should pay those that want to go through the training, and the training should be free. And that they should, at the very minimum, if they decide to be part of that solution, have a coach be paid as like a coach gets a coaching supplement. Those teachers should be part of the solution and allowed to exercise their constitutional right.
Thank you. Bill White, what legislation would you support or would you introduce to keep our schools safe without infringing on the Second Amendment?
First of all, I think one of the best things that we can do would be start with empowering the police department that's sitting there already. We've got those folks, so they're so constrained today because of certain laws that have been enacted that do not give the police department the rights that they need to be able to properly defend and keep our schools safe. I'm sorry, I feel like we've gotten away from that, and that is a very dangerous place to live. Much like Mitchell is, I think that we need to try to figure out for those teachers that are willing to bear an arm while they're there for the protection of the children and themselves, we should give them that right with the training without question, because that's very important. But the biggest thing, and you may hear me say this again because being in the mayor's role, I see this, is our police departments today are literally got their hands almost tied behind their back in regards to a lot of this stuff. And that's one place that we got to figure out how to get their hands untied.
Thank you. Tim Capley, what legislation would you support or would you introduce to keep our schools safe without infringing on the Second Amendment rights?
I might hurt some feelings here, but I'm going to say it anyway. Gun-free zones are a target. It's plain and simple. It's a big sign that says, hey, we don't have any weapons here. We have to limit gun-free zones. We have to do it. We cannot restrict our individual rights. How many veterans across this country would willingly serve in a school at the drop of a hat? Thank you. Hundreds of thousands.
Be quiet. Go ahead.
Would willingly serve after proper vetting. I think we could sponsor legislation to vet some. I hate to use it. To vet some veterans to serve in our school systems. I'll be behind that 100%. Properly vetted. Thank you.
Thank you. As I'm looking through our list of, I apologize for that. There is nothing I can do about it. Hopefully it won't be too bad. As I'm looking through the list of questions that are coming in from the audience that's here live tonight, I've had several questions concerning critical race theory. I have a stack of them here in front of me. So I'm going to go to Mitchell Skelton next. And so we're going to start with critical race theory. We're already in the education, so I'm seeing a lot of parents must be present here, and I believe it's an extreme concern. I'm a parent as well, and so I look forward to hearing you guys speak on this. Mitchell Skelton, critical race theory, where do you stand?
Well, let me stand up first. Critical race theory has no place in our public schools. We have an issue in our country, in our public education, that the federal government has our tax dollars, sends it down to the state. The state has our tax dollars, sends it down to the local school board, and tell teachers what to teach. And I have family members that are teachers, and I have a daughter that's in school to be a teacher. And they're more than teachers; they're professional educators. We should let our professional educators educate, and the money that is given to education should be spent by the local school boards. I'm against anything that is taught to our children that's inappropriate for their age group, and we need to make sure that our students, especially in K through 8, that they're taught how to read, that they're taught how to write, that they're taught the history of our country, and that they're prepared for the next level. And when they get to high school, then they can make some other choices. But those choices aren't CRT. Those choices aren't teaching people to hate the United States of America. So that's where I stand.
Okay, thank you. Bill White, where do you stand on critical race theory being taught in the classroom?
I go back to, we need to go back to the 3 R's. I mean, we're getting out of the realm of what we ought to be teaching in the classroom. Come on. I mean, we're forgetting about teaching these children about what's very, very important, and that's what comes next. It's not our place to be teaching a race theory. That's not what I see our education being about. That's not what I see us paying our taxes to go to the public schools to be teaching. I'm sorry, it's just not there. It is more of what can we do to help these students be prepared when they leave these schools to go be successful individuals. And I'm sorry, but critical race theory is not something that's going to teach them how to be successful and become good, earning members of our society. I'm sorry, I just don't think it has any place.
Thank you. Okay, Dick Gapley, where do you stand on critical race theory?
Critical race theory is an agenda pushed by the liberal left. Pretty plain and simple. I'm against it, not going to support it, but keep it out of our school systems. I have a young nephew, he's 8 years old now, and I had to have a conversation with my 8-year-old nephew about why it was okay for him to be white. He goes to Summertown Elementary School. That's a problem. That's a real problem. And it's here in Tennessee. Your tax dollars are going to Common Core, and they're going to the federal government. And we're seeing the benefits. We're seeing the benefits. It's pathetic.
Thank you. Jason Rich, where do you stand on the critical race theory?
The short answer is critical race theory has no place in our schools, period. The long answer is, if you were here on Tuesday night, you saw exactly what our kids are being indoctrinated with. And as Christians, we should all be offended by it. This country has done nothing but push this agenda, and it's time. I do believe there are people standing up and fighting back, but we have to continue that fight. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I believe we're going to Bill White now. Bill, I'm going to kind of spiral into that. I'm seeing several questions concerning school, concerning the curriculum that's being taught here that's going through. So I'm just going to kind of give this a over once of what legislation would you like to introduce to see the biggest changes in the school systems in Tennessee, especially in the 71st District? What legislation would you like to introduce to bring about the biggest changes in the school systems in Tennessee?
First of all, that's very difficult to answer for me because I don't know how you legislate. I think what we've got to do is get back to what works, and we have forgotten that. We, in our Mount Pleasant school system, have been very fortunate, and I'll throw it up to anybody, in that we have found a way to have both public and private funding to support these schools. How do you legislate that? I don't think you can. I think that's more of a community involvement, and that's how you have to get it there. I said this, and the guys were together yesterday. I hate to say this, but not every child is made for college. So what we've got to do is, instead of worrying about legislating what we're going to do, is keep these children and get them something when they're in school to get them to go be successful when they leave, understanding not every child's going to college. So that's where technical degrees come in. Very proud of the fact that the Lee Company supports an HVAC program in Mount Pleasant. BMC Metalworks supports a welding program. And these are students who can walk out and go to work and make $70,000 and $80,000 a year. And this is done by private funding, not public. And that's how you need to do it.
Thank you. Dick Capley, what legislation would you like to bring about the largest amount of change in the school systems in the state of Tennessee?
21% of our third graders in the state of Tennessee can perform math at a third grade level. 27% can read at a third grade level. That's pathetic. What's the solution? Let's give the schools more money. Everybody needs more money. Education needs more money. I'm all for supporting teachers, and I think schools need to be well funded. But we have to understand what our children are being taught first. What are we teaching them? If we don't know, we're just sending them to school. You and I both know there's countless numbers of parents that send their kids to school as a daycare. We all know it. But there are plenty of parents out there that care about the curriculum that our children are being taught, that can make the difference, that can go and fight for our children. I would sponsor legislation to increase transparency in our school curriculum.
Thank you, Kip. Jason Rich, what legislation would you introduce to bring about the biggest change in the school systems in the state of Tennessee?
I will introduce or support any legislation that is 100% pro-students. Our kids are getting left behind. Kip just gave you some numbers. It's startling. We have got to get the right curriculum in place. Now, on the flip side, we have some amazing teachers. We're very fortunate to live in a small town. We've got precious teachers I'd send my kids home with for a week at a time if they volunteer to do that, but they don't go. We have some wonderful people on both sides of this. But if we don't stop fussing about this and that and truly focus on these kids, then we're going to have a whole other generation that's just completely lost out. We've been with Common Core. We tried with No Child Left Behind. There have been so many things that have been tried. We haven't found that sweet spot yet. I'm open to any type of discussion about that anyone has ideas that would help to further these kids' futures. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Skelton, what legislation would you introduce or support to bring about the biggest change in the Tennessee school systems?
Well, I think all of us have agreed on a lot of things tonight, and I've already alluded to one of the things that I would like to see. We have to go back to the core of what we're teaching our children in K through 8, and then we have to prepare our students in high school for their interests, the things that tickle their fancy, if you want to say. And I agree with Mr. White that the college track is not for everyone. There's a reason that there is a quote-unquote student loan crisis in our country. It's because so many people were forced into or talked into going to college and borrowing a lot of money. That was should have been. Some people should go to jail for that. There was a lot of loan sharks that went and forced a lot of debt on students. But what I think would be most helpful is, again, let's get the money back down to the local level and let's let our professional educators educate. Let's work with parents. Let's work with our professional educators, devise curriculum. Give us our money back and let us use it. We're pretty smart people. We can come up with a good plan.
Thank you. I think maybe this will be our last question on education, but I do have a stack of them, and I'm trying to bring several questions into one, so please forgive me because I have so many. For this question, I'm just going to read exactly as it's written. I think it sums up several of them that I have in front of me. In light of the current challenges within our education system, where do you stand on taxpayer-funded school vouchers for families to choose the schools that they want their children to attend? Kip Capley.
Public schools are, oh my goodness. come hot out the gate on that one. Public school systems are important. Obviously, I'm going to be for vouchers. I'm for school choice just because of the fact that there are certain school systems that have a track record of not being well funded, and I think it's extremely important to understand that the parents should have the right to choose where their children are being educated. That shouldn't be something that's mandated by the government. Now, obviously, everybody's not going to have that opportunity, so we'll fall back on the previous question, but that would be the shortest answer I could give you on that.
Okay, thank you. Jason Rich, in light of current challenges within our education system, where do you stand on taxpayer-funded school vouchers for families to choose the school they would like their children to attend?
I go back to what I said in answer to the last question, 100% for the children, and I fully believe that the voucher program is in favor of the children. Again, we have teachers that do amazing jobs, and I appreciate that, but any parent who wants to homeschool their kid and money is an issue for that, I think this voucher program allows them to do that, or it allows them to move their child from a failing school system and into one that is actually doing well. So I do completely support a voucher program.
Thank you. Mitchell Skelton.
I had this conversation yesterday with a school administrator, and understandably, our school teachers in public schools, our administrators in public schools are worried about vouchers, because immediately that means, or they believe there's going to be less money in public schools. I get that. We can't leave public schools stranded in Wayne County, and for most of the people in Lawrence County, the public school is the only option unless you homeschool. But I do believe in the voucher system. I do believe in that you should be able to take the money that is apportioned for a child and use it for homeschool. You should also be able to use that for a charter or a private school. I do want to learn more about what the state is doing with bringing in private corporations and privatizing schools. That's something that is new, and there's mixed results about that. And as I told this school administrator, I want to gather teachers and administrators from across the district and talk to them about their concerns and their thoughts, because that's the most important thing, the ones that are teaching our students today.
Thank you. Bill White. In light of the current challenges within our education system, where do you stand on taxpayer-funded school vouchers for families who would like to choose the school they want their children to attend?
I'd be in support of it as long as it's managed properly. I mean, we can't. One of the things that somebody said earlier, we just keep throwing money at this thing, and we're really not getting anything out of it. It's where do you come with your community to support the school system that you've got. And so I don't really have a problem with it, but how do you manage it, and how do you financially manage that money? Because it's going to be a big bunch of money. And I think we've proven pretty well so far that we're not real good at that, okay? It's not something we should be very proud of, but I don't think we've proven that very well. I certainly think that families should have an opportunity for where their children should go to school, because oddly enough, I can remember a number of years nobody wanted to go to Mount Pleasant. I hate to say it, but it's the truth. Now we've got them lined up, literally, wanting to come. So I've seen what can be good, and I've seen what can be bad, and I can tell you the good's a whole lot better. A lot better in the fact that we were the only school in the whole state of Tennessee that had all 12 grades STEAM certified, not STEM. We had the A for arts. So I think it's something we should consider, but I think economically you've got to really understand where the money's going and exactly what it's going to do.
Thank you. I'm going to shift gears just a little bit, looking at the questions that are here. I see some questions coming through talking about that things are on the national scene. So I'm going to start again. Let's say I believe we're with Jason Rich. Jason Rich, was the 2020 presidential election the fairest election in modern history? And explain your answer.
And I get to go first. I have serious issues with how the 2020 election went down. Was it the fairest in modern history? I haven't looked at all of them. I would say it was probably the most unfair that we've dealt with in our lifetime. And again, just like with CRT being taught in schools, if it doesn't scare you just a little bit or a lot, then you're not paying attention. With stories of ballots being stuffed into boxes that only had one person, they only voted for one office. And you know something I cannot figure out is why Tennessee can do elections so well and Pennsylvania and Georgia cannot. I don't understand why it takes days for other areas to count votes. So yes, again, I guess y'all can tell I'm not taking my whole 90 seconds every time, but absolutely the most unfair election that I've ever seen in my lifetime, and I've been watching them for a few years now.
Mr. Skelton, was the 2020 presidential election the fairest election in modern history? Explain your answer.
I'd like to hear the person that coined that phrase, but no, it was not the fairest election in modern history. It wasn't the fairest election in the history of elections, period. There are huge issues with the election, and to stick your head in the sand and say otherwise is just ignoring the problem. We need to make sure our elections are secure. We need to make sure that everybody that is able to vote, is allowed by the Constitution to vote, can vote. I make a joke when I go around because we have a lot of crossover when in our district. We go somewhere, we may find people from Alabama if you're in southern Wayne County, or you go into Lawrence County, people that can't vote for you. And I always say, good. You can just mail your ballot in, and that's even better. Those type of things have to stop. People need to be able to prove who they are, that they're legal to vote, and our elections should be secure.
Thank you. Bill White, was the 2020 presidential election the fairest election in modern history? Please explain your answer.
I'd have to say absolutely not. Yeah, we were there when we saw that movie a couple of 2-3 weeks ago. And it was alarming, to tell you the honest truth. And there were 2,000 mules, I think, is the name of it. And it's very alarming to see what was actually going on. And there were a number of folks walking up with a wad full of ballots and stuffing them in a box, and that's a concern. Was it fair? No, absolutely not. If you just step back and even look at that from both sides of the story, I think that's without question is very questionable when you see somebody with a wad of them and they're going to different ballot boxes and turning in, and you know they're doing the same thing. So I think it's very alarming that was allowed to go on. I do know that there is some legislation that is in place or is trying to be put in place, let me rephrase that, to try to curtail that going forward. But no, I certainly don't believe that it was the most fair election that our country's ever seen.
Kip Capley, was the 2020 presidential election the fairest election in modern history? Please explain your answer.
I had the honor and the privilege of working for the Trump campaign in 2020, and I think you can probably already figure out where I'm headed. No, it was not the most fair election that we've ever had. But I will say this, I'll make an unpopular comment. As Republicans across this country, not just in the great state of Tennessee, we got lazy. There's a lot of people that just assumed that Trump was going to walk away with a victory. He was just going to walk right back into the White House and we didn't have to go vote for him. I think that's contributed to it as well. It's not all voter fraud. Now, there are certainly some instances of voter fraud, and I'd like to meet the individual that believes, well, actually, maybe I wouldn't like to meet the individual that believes that there's no voter fraud, but we got comfortable as Republicans. That's why Donald Trump lost. Instead of having truck rallies and driving up and down the highway, we should have been training poll watchers. We should have been training individuals to go out in their community and encourage your neighbor, encourage your workmate, get out and vote. This is an important election. And I'd like to encourage you to do the same thing in the great 71st District. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to another question. We're going to start with Mitchell Skelton on this question. Mitchell, if you could speak to Governor Bill Lee tonight, what would you like to say?
I won't have 90 seconds. I think we're blessed that we had Governor Bill Lee to be our governor and guide us through the COVID period. The governor of Tennessee, believe it or not, has the most power under executive orders of any governor in the country. And Governor Lee restrained his staff. Now, part of the reason that I am running is because the government picked winners and losers during COVID. And they picked small businesses to lose. Government picked churches to lose. Government picked individuals like you and I to lose. And big corporations and big government just kept getting bigger. I'd like to talk to Governor Lee about that. There's another thing I would like to talk to Governor Lee about is sign the bills that come before you. Either sign them or veto them. The legislature put several good bills in front of him on his desk, and he did not sign them. He just allowed them to go on the law. It's a 1795 law for when the governor was supposed to be in the fields and putting up hay. And he's not putting up hay. He needs to take a stand, and he needs to vote or veto or sign.
Thank you. Bill White, if you could speak to Governor Bill Lee tonight, what would you like to say?
Thank you. I think Governor Lee's done a wonderful job, particularly to get us through the pandemic. It was something that none of us, uncharted water, and I think he navigated it very well. And I was proud to see that. The next thing I would say is send more money, please. The governor controls, and looking at this from a local level, and it would control a lot of the 71st, is the governor controls CDBG grants, Community Development Block Grant. And whether we want to look at it this way or not, the governor holds the pen and he's got the checkbook. And we have seen it in our community that some years we don't get any of that money back. And there's certain reasons that happens. And I understand when it does. So, but first of all, would be thank you, because I think he's navigated it very well. We still live in a fantastic state with no income tax, still very reasonable taxes. And secondly, help us, thank you for getting us through the pandemic, because there were a lot of states that not fared as well.
Thank you. Kim Capley, if you could speak to Governor Bill Lee tonight, what would you like to say?
Step out of Nashville and come to rural Tennessee. We need help. Stop listening to your cabinet. Listen to the people of the great state of Tennessee. Rural Tennessee needs resources. Now, that might sound like I was being critical of Governor. I think he's done a pretty okay job. I think he's done all right. Now, obviously, I have my own opinion about how things should be done, and that's fine. Rural Tennessee needs help. We have a $3 billion annual revenue, I believe, every year in the great state of Tennessee. Rural Tennessee needs some of that money, not just Nashville.
Thank you. Jason Ridge, you can speak to Governor Bill Lee tonight. What would you like to say?
For those of you who know me, you know that I'm eternally positive. So the first thing I would say was I appreciate your Christian example. I have seen governors that never spoke of God, and Bill Lee is a true Christian example for us, for our kids, for our state. Second thing I would do is say, great job in that 2018 election, keeping on the high road. If you remember that very well, it just got dumb. It really did. And I think I remember a mailer that came out and it had a kitchen sink on it. And he said, I've just been waiting for him to throw this at me. So he did a good job with that. Lastly, keep your foot on the gas for rural Tennessee. Once we get to Nashville, y'all, it's about urban versus rural. And the urbans really want more money all the time. And we have to continue, just not to piggyback off of Mayor White, but to continue what he's saying. We have to continue working for CDBG, RBEGs, whatever those programs are that make rural Tennessee better. Governor Lee has had a great focus on farmers, and I appreciate that. Clearly, we've reached, when I was growing up, nobody made a true living off farming. It's been a joy to see families that now are making a living off farming. So I would encourage you to continue sending those monies to farmers and to rural areas. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Bill White. Bill White, during COVID-19, what mistakes were made by the Tennessee state legislation, and what would you do to prevent a repeat of these mistakes?
Not a doctor. I'll be the first to admit it, retired banker. So, that was uncharted water for this whole country, matter of fact, for this world. I mean, nobody had ever seen this. Nobody knew what was going to happen. I just don't, it's not going to come off right, but that's one of those that I think you've got to go to the people that really, truly understand that and get your knowledge before you make some decisions like that. I think one of the things that I've decided as I've gotten a little older is I know what I know, and probably the smartest thing is I know what I don't know. So I better go ask the question. So if there would have been anything, it would have been to try to have gotten us back and a little sooner than we did to a more normal life. Again, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know when that was or how that should have been done. But I do feel like that we probably sat back a little too long and let some things happen, and they got too far gone before we could rein it back in. That's easy for an outsider to be sitting there pointing a finger at somebody, but it literally shut down a lot of industry and a lot of different type jobs, particularly small businesses.
Thank you. Kim Catholic, during COVID-19, what mistakes were made by the Tennessee state legislation, and what are your plans to prevent a repeat of these mistakes?
I feel like a lot of my answers here recently have been critical of the state legislature, and I don't want to come across that way, but I will say this. A citizen of the great state of Tennessee should not have to decide between their individual rights of getting a shot and their career. That should never be a decision that anyone across our great state has to make. We cannot limit our individual rights in this country or in this state. We just can't do it. Now, again, I feel like I've been a little bit more critical than I planned to be while I've been up here, but that's the main point that I want to drive home, is that we have to focus on individual rights and not forcing an individual to decide between letting their family go hungry and their individual rights.
Thank you. And Jason Rich, during COVID-19, what mistakes were made by the Tennessee state legislation, and what are your plans to prevent a repeat of these mistakes?
Specifically, we should have never told churches they can't meet. Second, we should have never told businesses they can't be open. Third, we should have never closed schools as long as we did. I'm seeing ramifications from all of those. I'm seeing church congregations that aren't the same, y'all. They're watching on Facebook now, they're not fellowshipping with the people. I'm seeing businesses that don't have the same employees. They've had to completely change their business model. I'm seeing kids that have lost an entire year of school. I mean, it is tough on these people. My sister-in-law is a teacher in the Fayetteville City school system, and she says we literally just need to hit the reset button. So I get a little passionate about those, but those are the things that I saw go wrong.
Okay. Mitchell Skillman, during the COVID-19, what mistakes were made by Tennessee state legislation, and what are your plans to prevent a repeat of these mistakes?
I hold in my hand an 8-pin, if you can't see that. Something that seems innocuous, something that seems harmless. We have to take the power of this ink pen, sign emergency orders away from people, except for true emergencies. We've seen true emergencies here in our area. We've seen true emergencies when natural disasters happen that the governor needs to step in. But when a governor, or worse yet, when a non-elected official can just sign a piece of paper and shut your business down, shut your church down, shut your schools down, that's a problem. Now the legislature says that they have fixed that. They have not. They just curtailed some of the time that the governor has to re-sign. The legislature needs to be the final check when it comes to these things. The legislature, because the people brought, you can come and look at me and say, what's going on? Why can't my business be open? I myself was doubly hit during COVID-19. We almost lost our business. If it hadn't been for savings and some help from family, we would have lost our business. Our church was shut down. It's still not the same, and I guarantee yours isn't either. We have to stop it.
Thank you. Do we need to go to a commercial break now?
Well, what I was going to say was, everybody needs to turn their phones off. Guys on the stage also. Turn them off.
If you're in the audience and you have a cell phone on, we're going to ask you to just turn that off now. Someone's phone actually was trying to ring through on our mic system just a minute ago. So if you're here, please just turn your cell phones off this time. Thank you.
All the way off.
Yeah, just turn them off.
Please.
Thank you for that. Do we have time for one more question before the commercial break?
Yeah.
Okay. So I've had a lot of inquiry about impact fees in the counties. So I'll just give a quick little background for our audience here. The impact fee is going to be the fee that is charged to a builder or a contractor when they're building a new construction on any piece of property. It could be residential, it could be commercial. And there are a lot of different venues of impact fees. But that seems to be a hot topic in Murray County. So we're going to start with Kip Capley first. And the question I have here, I'll let you use this mic. So the question I have here are impact fees in Murray County. Are you for or against them, and why?
Impact fees are something used in communities across the state, especially around Nashville, where big developers will come in and assist the taxpayer and alleviate them in the costs that will ultimately come from building new developments. So I'm open to any discussions within the community and within each community regarding impact fees. I don't think that a blanketed yes is the proper answer here. I think that each community should be able to decide if they want impact fees or if not. Now, I am running to be the instrument of your will and the voice of you, the people in the District 71, and I can't make that decision for you. Your community has to make it for itself.
Thank you. Jason Rich, impact fees in Murray County. Are you for or against them, and why?
It's funny, if you'd have asked me, I was mayor of Wayne County for 10 years, and if you'd have came down there and said, let's do an impact fee, I would have laughed at you. Very conservative. That's a Republican stance to take, is no, it's an extra tax. Murray County has a critical situation on its hands. They are looking at $250 billion to build the schools that it's going to take to educate the people who are moving to that county. We've heard the same talk here in Lawrence County. We've been in the forum a couple times where road commissioner candidates are talking about these new subdivisions. They're coming in and throwing them up. They're not paving it as well as they should. They're not giving them the services they should, and they walk away with their big money. I'm okay with them making money, but we have to protect our counties. As of today, with the information that I have, and again, you'll find that I'm a very open-minded person. If Wayne County, Hardin County, Lawrence County, anyone comes to me and the county leaders and the people of that county are asking for that, then we have to get on board with it. We have to be the voice in Nashville for that. So the people who are looking for that impact fee, we've got to go and fight for that.
Thank you. Mitchell Skelton, are you for or against impact fees in Murray County, and why?
Well, I like some of the others. When I heard about impact fees, I didn't. My immediate answer was no. It's a tax. We don't need a new tax. When you go to Murray County and you talk to the people there that are facing a 20 to 25% property tax increase, but because of the $250 million that they're going to have to spend on new elementary schools, which means in 4 or 5 years they're going to need new middle schools and they're going to need new high schools, and that's just because they need to take care of the people that are living there now, the new people that have moved in. It's not stopping. It's coming. Local communities need to have the ability, and I think a lot of you may be as confused as I was. State legislature, as of right now, has voted against your ability to do that, to put a tax on a new home build as somebody is moving in here from somewhere else and building a brand new home, and shifts the burden of the property tax. Your property taxes won't be increasing as much if you have that ability. But again, it comes down to the local communities. It's what do you want? What do you see as a vision for your county and your community? But you ought to have that tool in the arsenal.
Thank you. Bill White, impact fees in Murray County, are you for or against them, and why?
Why are we singling out Murray County?
That was the question that was handed.
Because, I mean, each county's going to be looking at something like this. I mean, come on. It's reality. And here's what I also want to make sure I do. All of Murray County cannot charge an impact fee. The city of Mount Pleasant cannot legally charge an impact fee. You had to pass a law back in the 80s to be able to legally pass and have an impact fee. So let's all make sure that we understand that Mount Pleasant was not part of that, please. And that's the part of will be in the 71st. Now, we made a decision at the city of Mount Pleasant to look beyond impact fees, and what we do is the developer is now responsible for all of this infrastructure and the cost of putting it in. They're still putting they're putting skin in the game on the very front end. Let them make their money on the back end, but get it in and get it in the ground and get it in the ground right. There's a way to do that, and we've proven it. We've already got over 350 homes approved right now. 105 acres they're asking us to annex in. When was the last time anybody heard somebody wanted annexed? You won't hear it very often. So let's please make sure we understand that all of Murray County wasn't behind that. So we were exempt.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to take a break for our sponsors, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Thank you. We have 3 minutes.
Whether you need to buy or sell a piece of real estate, you can count on Brandy Bundert and BST Realty to provide the best service and make the entire process as smooth and painless as possible. Call or text 931-332-3430 to arrange a meeting to figure out how she can best help you meet your real estate needs. Buying or selling real estate doesn't have to be strenuous when you let Brandy do the heavy lifting. Call today, 931-332-3430.
I told you that front tire needed air.
I know, Dad.
Where's the tire iron? I told you, always keep a tire iron and a jack.
I know, Dad. I got it. Roadside assistance
included with my shelter insurance auto policy. It's one of the reasons you told me to get it. Remember?
Maybe you do listen after all.
That
Shelter. Listening to you is what we do best.
Contact Jason Ray or Boston Ray at 217 South Main Street, Waynesboro, 722-5592. Check out the great name brand equipment of Pickwick Saul, 1645 Wayne Road in Savannah. Pickwick Saul has a great selection of Gravely and Skag mowers, steel trimmers, and don't forget to bring your equipment in now for a tune-up. Pickwick Saul, 1645 Wayne Road in Savannah, 731-727-8026. That's 731-727-8026.
You and your family's good health is important to your locally owned Health Mart pharmacy. We urge you to know the important numbers when it comes to your health. Monitor your blood pressure, cholesterol, and your BMI or body mass index. Knowing these numbers and having an overall fitness plan can lead to a more satisfying, active, and healthy lifestyle for you and your family. Got questions? Health Mart has the answers. We truly want to be a trusted healthcare resource for you and your family.
Visit your local Durhan's Health Mart pharmacy with locations in Waynesboro, Linden,
and Hohenwald.
But wait. I'm just saying, get him back home.
Okay, I need everyone to find a seat. You have 20 seconds. Find a seat. I need everyone to find a seat. I need you to take a seat. Come immediately to your seats. We're going to go live in 1 minute. I need you to take a seat. Please quiet down. In the dining hall, I need everyone to stop talking. I need all talking to cease. Thank you so much. How much time we got, John? How much time we got, John? Need everyone to take a seat, please. Representatives, I need you to come back to the front. Thank you for joining us tonight. We are live at the West End Community Center. We have the 4 candidates for the 71st District State Representative position of the Republican Party. With us tonight, we have Kip Capley, we have Jason Rich, and we have Mitchell Skelton and Bill White. All 4 men are running for a position. We just come back off of a hard-sponsored break, and we're trying to get our live audience seated as we go back into this debate to finish it up. I want to thank each one of the gentlemen for being here tonight. They brought a lot of support with them. Thank you, each one, for taking the time out. I want to thank our audience for being here. I want to give a special thanks to Big Oldies 100.7, to Charlie Cole. I want to thank John Harper for his hard work tonight. These gentlemen have put a lot of work into it, and a lot of volunteers here at the West End Community Center bringing out the food and helping us serve tonight. We thank you for all of the donations, for those who have come in and supported us. Tonight, it's been important that we would look at the debate tonight because our candidates seem to be so similar in nature. And so as we were going through the process of this election cycle, it was brought to our attention here that we needed helping decide who was going to be the best person to fill this position. So as we approached each one of these gentlemen, they were more than happy to come to West End Community Center and to bring their team with them and to answer the questions that were going to be presented by the audience. The audience has a chance, and you still have a chance, to come down to the table, fill out a 3x5 index card, and write your question down, and one of our screeners will get the question to us. The question does need to be general and directed for all 4 candidates to answer equally. So again, we're going to get right back into our next question. And Jason Rich, I believe you will be first. Are you gentlemen ready? We're going to ask you to turn your mics off when you're not speaking. We were getting some feedback from the phones from our audience here, our live audience. If you'll keep your cell phones turned off, not silenced, but turned off, we would appreciate it. It help a little bit with the feedback. Okay, so Jason Rich, still talking about the state level on the state taxes. I've seen several questions about fuel prices and about the fuel tax. So I really don't want to narrow this down. I want to see what each one of you gentlemen are thinking for the future, because as it looks now, it doesn't look like fuel prices will be coming down anytime soon. So what are your feelings, or what direction would you like to see the state of Tennessee go concerning the state fuel tax in Tennessee? Go ahead, sir.
I think it's already been said here tonight. I'm not going to talk about something I don't know a whole lot about, because you'll end up looking like a fool. If I understand it correctly, the state is allowed to put a certain amount of tax onto a gallon of gasoline. I think the legislature has already tackled that this year. Personally, I don't think it's something that we can truly control at the state level. And what we could do, which we should do, would be small in comparison to the big picture. Perhaps we need to focus more on as a federal issue and producing more oil for us as a nation.
Thank you, Jason. Mitchell Skelton, what direction would you like to see the state of Tennessee move concerning gas taxes, fuel taxes?
Well, personally, I think it would be great if we had no taxes whatsoever, but that's not realistic. And in counties, as we're looking at Lawrence County, Wayne County, part of Hardin County, and rural Murray County, those are huge counties. And when you take away the fuel tax, that directly impacts your road commissioners and your rural roads and bridges. And until we find a better option, then we're going to have to continue with that tax. I don't think that we need to increase any taxes. Tennessee had a $3 billion surplus this past year, in this fiscal year. And so the taxes is, I think, okay where it's at. We could have a We could have a vacation from it for a month, but that's not going to do anything for the price of gas in the long term. We need to have our governor and the people, our legislators, and our Congress people and our senators going and pressuring our president to get us fuel independent again and oil independent again, and we need a new president. That's what we need to do.
Thank you. I'm going to ask the audience to stay quiet, please. Thank you. Okay, so next is going to be Bill White. What direction would you like to see the state of Tennessee move concerning fuel taxes here in the state?
Right now, I'd leave it alone. I think that prior to this current administration we're under, we were oil independent, and we find ourselves now, because of a lot of moves that I don't think were very smart, we've become very dependent again upon overseas sources of oil, which in turn is going to drive up the prices. I know there was, when this Improve Act was passed about 4, 5, 6 years ago, there was a great deal of discussion about that. I know it finally did pass, and it's still a lot of discussion about it, still to this day. But there's a lot more that goes into that than just that tax. It's a surplus. Where is it? Where in the line is it? How do you get it to the consumer? What's the price once it gets to the consumer? Because there's just a lot of people that are involved in the fuel and the cost of fuel that we never see, that are behind the scenes. And that's where I think we've got to drive and go back to more so to Washington, like somebody else said, to the direct source of that, to get that line. We're finished with that line all the way up into Oklahoma. All we need to do is just finish it a few more miles, and we're in great shape.
Thank you. Kip Capley, what direction would you like to see the state of Tennessee move concerning fuel taxes?
I think a short intermediary break on a tax on gas would be definitely helpful for the great state of Tennessee. This is more of a federal problem, as we can see with the Sleepy Joe at the wheel. We can't expect to send $40 billion to Ukraine in an effort to provide them relief when everything that touches a truck in the United States goes up with a lack of oil. It's like the mayor said, finish the pipeline. Not a hard concept.
Thank you. Next question, we're going to start with Mitchell Skelton. Mitchell, the question here is what is your work or business experience, and how do you plan to help small businesses in the 71st District?
Boy, I like that question. I'm a small business owner, and that's how I've made my living for forever. I was 7 years old, and my mother and I worked the first shift at my mom and dad's convenience store in Waynesboro. At 12 years old, I waited tables at Pizza Hut in Waynesboro. Some of you people, I probably waited on your tables, and now you're wishing you gave me a better tip. My experience as a small business owner, and my experience as a small business owner gives me a good insight into everyday people's lives. I'm not immersed in politics. I look at bureaucracy of the government, and I don't think of ways to navigate through it. I think of ways to get rid of it. There is a reason why people are looking to get out of certain areas, and they're leaving California in droves, and they're leaving in certain states in droves because of big government, big bureaucracy. And as a small business owner, what I've learned, we need to get rid of that. Clear the path for small business owners, for farmers, and for those that are striving to make a living.
Thank you. Bill White, what is your business experience, and how do you plan to help small businesses in the 71st District?
40-year banker. I think financially I understand the ups and downs in the numbers. Currently as an mayor of a community, again, managing budgets. Probably one of the largest things that I've seen that we've had to deal with has been a sewer system infrastructure. Infrastructure is very important in your communities, and you don't realize it until you cut the tap on and there's nothing there. One of the things that I think that we are most proud of in Mount Pleasant is our current project that we have going on with our sewer system. It's been an issue since the 80s. We're finally putting that to bed. Price tag we thought was going to come in somewhere around 8 or 9 to 10 million. It came in at 15.3. So my experience has been being able to go back and figure out, all right, how are we going to pay for this? And one of the biggest ways that we've done it is grants. We wound up with $9 million in non-matching funds in grants. That's where my experience for the 71st District will help you, is in the economic development and understanding how you get $300 million spent in your community to create jobs, and then as well as what you can do to make sure that infrastructure is there and not saddle the constituents with the payments with it. We're reducing our sewer payment by $34,000 a month.
Thank you. Kim Capley, what is your business experience and how do you plan to help small businesses in the 71st District?
I've worked as a consultant for small businesses in the past. I think the most simple way to say this is decrease government overreach. I'm for free market. I think Uncle Sam has nothing to do with our businesses. I don't think he should have anything to do with your business. I think you should be free to run your business in any way that you see fit. We see examples across our country of people being penalized for refusing service to a certain individual or a certain group of individuals because it conflicted with their religious beliefs. Uncle Sam needs to stay out of our business. Thank you.
Thank you. Jason Ridge, what is your small business or business experience and how do you plan to help small businesses in the 71st District?
I may use my whole 90 seconds this time.
Okay.
As county executive for 10 years, you're literally the chief executive officer of a big business. We didn't have a budget office in Wayne County, so all of the expenditures, all of the decision making comes through that office. So that's some business experience, although I did serve as an elected official. For the last 10 years, I've been able to serve on the board bank for Wayne County Bank as a director. And we meet once a month, and they bring loans in front of us, and we do the pro formas, and we break down the incomes and the expenditures of those farmers or that young couple that's wanting to build a home or that person that's starting out a new business. And I've learned a wealth of knowledge in the last 10 years going through that. The last 5 years, I've had an insurance license, and for the last 3, in fact, it's been 3 years ago this week that I opened my own insurance business in Collinwood, and those have probably been the scariest 3 years of my life. Stacy and I both have our licenses, and we work there together, and we just kind of scratched it out. As far as helping small businesses going forward, just prevent any regulatory things that are going to cause them more money. As a side note, we also have a small short-term rental in Collinwood, and the amount of taxes and business tax, property tax, income tax, it's crazy how many layers we have to go through just to be able to provide that service for people. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so our next question, I'm still getting questions as we're going through this. We'll start with Bill White. Just got this question just minutes ago. Bill White, do you support a red flag law?
In regards to?
It's just a question I had. Just a red flag law, I'm assuming with firearm.
That's dangerous to assume that one.
I can move on to another question if you guys want to pass.
That's up to y'all. I don't know exactly what they're speaking of.
Okay.
Unless you're talking about being down on the beach and the red flag goes up, it means you get off the beach.
I think it's discussed. The discussion would be. I think I can clarify for you. It would be. Do you want to give it?
Well, the question, I know the gentleman that asked the question, is the red flag laws are in reference to someone calling in a threat for someone that has firearms and the police coming and arresting that person or taking their firearms away from them, and the fact that some people might use that as a unlawfully.
So this is the legislation that's coming through now. The questions I'm getting are very current. Thank you all for the audience, the current questions you're getting. Some of this stuff, we're just seeing it come through the news cycle even the last 24 hours. But the red flag law is where they're actually allowing people to call in if you seem to be a threat in any way against someone, and they can actually come in and disarm you, take firearms from your home if someone feels threatened if you fall under the red flag laws. So it's going to be a different Second Amendment question.
I support the Second Amendment. I think that answers that question pretty quickly and pretty fairly. As I said earlier, it's not even up for discussion. Secondly, if you're caught doing that, you ought to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. And then once you're prosecuted, you should serve the time, period, and not a deal made because you just literally disrupted someone's life. And it's something that's not going to just go away overnight either. You're going to carry that with you for a long time. Anybody that, well, he got arrested. Did you know what he did? And it was a bogus call. Prosecute the caller, please. Let's get to who the culprit is here. That homeowner or whatever it may be, may very well not be the culprit. So go back to whomever's doing that and take care of it and just be done with it.
Okay? All right, I'm going to keep moving. I'm going to move with this one. I'm going to go into UKIP on the red flag laws. Where do you stand on red flag laws as it stands with the Second Amendment and someone being able to call in a threat and have that individual disarmed?
People are spiteful and hateful all the time. No, I'm against red flag laws. I feel like I haven't used a whole lot of my 90 seconds at all, but I guess really to sum it up, they can come take it from our cold, dead hands. Thank you.
Thank you. Jason Rich, on the red flag laws, where do you stand as far as someone calling in a threat of their neighbor or someone they know and allowing that person to be disarmed because someone feels threatened?
It's a very short time to think about this, but it's a good question. The question is a little hard and fast. I can see the basis for someone, as Mitchell's already mentioned, mental health illness is a real problem in this country. I can see the basis of if I know that my neighbor, if I'm in my backyard and my neighbor is out there shining up his guns and I hear him saying that he's about to go attack a school, I think maybe time for a welfare check on that. I think we're going way too far if it's an automatic, we're taking your guns and you're going to jail. So on its face, obviously I would be against anything that unintentionally takes weapons from anyone. But I do think we need to address the mental health crisis.
Thank you. Mitchell Skelton, being on the red flag law, where do you stand as far as the red flag law, someone calling in a threat or feeling threatened and then that individual being disarmed?
The red flag laws that are being put forth right now are simply the liberals' excuse for not dealing with mental health in our country. We have laws on the books if a person's acting crazy, if a person has made threats. We have laws on the books to deal with those people. The issue comes in these red flag laws is all the things that are added to this. I'm not going to ask for a show of hands, but there are a lot of medications that are used for neuropathy. There are a lot of medications that are used for migraine. There's a lot of medications that are used for different ailments that we all have that would be on that list as a quote-unquote antidepressant, and you would not be allowed to buy a gun because you'd be red flagged. That's wrong. That's a violation of your Second Amendment. It goes back to the old Tom Cruise movie, I believe the name of it was Minority Report, where he was in the pre-crime unit. We don't need pre-crime units in the United States. We need to enforce the laws that we have. We go back and we see most of the people that have committed these mass shootings were known to law enforcement. So, Second Amendment. That's the answer.
Thank you. This may seem like a simple question, but I've seen it so many times over and over in these cards that I'm looking at. So, Kim, we're going to start with you first. And the audience definitely wants to know, where do you stand on Roe versus Wade being overturned?
I might just take all 90 seconds for this one. Abortion is murder. Plain and simple. I actually have a story about abortion, and I'm not going to give the example of who the individual is, but Well, the doctors told my mother when I was 7 months old that she should have an abortion. Thank God she did, because I'm here now. Abortion's murder, folks. That's all I have to say. I will never, ever sponsor legislation that's pro-abortion. Ever.
Thank you. Jason Rich, what is your stand on the overturning of Roe versus Wade?
I think it's coming. I think God is smiling on America for that. I think life begins at conception. As soon as it's overturned, I'm anxious about Tennessee's trigger laws going into place and abortion being illegal in the state of Tennessee.
Thank you. Mitchell Skelton, where do you stand on Roe versus Wade being overturned?
All people are created in the image of God, and we have no right whatsoever to end that life. It all lies in God's hands. God gave us this precious life, and I am proud that we live in a state that when these laws, when Roe v. Wade is overturned, that abortion will be illegal in the state of Tennessee, except in the extreme case for the life of the mother is in danger, not in question, not might be, but the doctor knows that mother will not survive. And then that's a hard decision for a mother, and that's between her and her God.
Thank you. And Bill White, where do you stand on Roe versus Wade being overturned in the United States of America?
No, with these guys, I don't see it. I think there's probably good odds that it could happen right now in the current administration, and that's worrying to me. The way I look at this, dear Lord didn't put me on the face of this earth to make those decisions. It's not my decision. It's in the Bible what's right and what's wrong. And I'm going to choose to do that.
Thank you. Okay, so our next question, we're going to start with Jason Rich. Jason, how are you the most qualified candidate on this stage?
I would never want to insult another candidate. I firmly believe that my life experiences, my time in public service, the friendships and relationships I've built across the 71st, not just when it was time to start campaigning, but even before then, and my general knowledge of Nashville, of things that will need to be done for this area, uniquely qualify me. I'm gonna finish. Well, I don't know when I finished, but I think I've got some time left. A friend of mine this past week said, "You know, Jason, if I had to have surgery, I'm going to go in and meet with the surgeon. I'm going to see his accomplishments on the wall, maybe see an award or two on his table. I couldn't care less about that stuff. I already know he's a surgeon. What I want to know is how good are you? What's your success rate?" I firmly believe that my success rate will be better. Thank you.
Thank you. Mitchell Skelton, how are you the most qualified candidate on this stage?
I'm the most qualified candidate on this stage because I'm not a politician. Every candidate up here is in public office, has been in public office, or has worked in those areas, and there's nothing wrong with public service. But we have issues in our state. We have issues in our country, and we have a lot of people that are politicians that are obsessed with nothing but power. Now, I know all of these gentlemen, and I think a lot of them individually, but politicians are the problem. Politicians have got us where we are. I'm not one. I'm a small business owner. I'm a minister. I'm a citizen, and I want to go, and I want to be a citizen servant, and at the end of the day, I want to come back home. I want to make you proud, and that's what makes me the most qualified.
Thank you. Bill White, what makes you, or how are you the most qualified candidate on this stage?
Experience in banking, getting the numbers, understanding where it comes from, what's important. Again, Mitchell, you don't know Bill very well, but yes, it's been an honor to serve Mount Pleasant. people in the community of Mount Pleasant will tell you, I am not a politician. I have ruffled a lot of feathers trying to get done what we've been able to get done. I have always stood by that. That's not who I am. If you're looking for me to say what you want to hear every time, it's not going to happen. We had a lot of hard decisions to make to be able to get our community back to where it is today. And I don't think you can do all of those as a politician. Sometimes you've just got to get a very level head understanding of what the problem is and the best way to address it strategically and what's best for everybody in your communities, not just this little small group. And that's what I'll stand on. The budget's in the best place it's ever been in our community. We've got jobs, we've got huge investments. I think if you'll come to Mount Pleasant and see what we've done, schools included, I think I'd be very proud for you to see what we've accomplished.
Thank you. Kim Capley, how are you the most qualified candidate on this stage?
Well, I'm not sure how I could be a politician since I've never ran for office or held public office, but maybe somebody can explain that to me after this. I have worked and volunteered since I got out of school, while I've been in school. And my positions within political campaigns have been to get me through school. Now, if someone wants to come at me because I made a little money to pay for books and food while I was in school, that's fine. I was good at my job. The people in Williamson County called me a political hitman sent to Williamson County to pillage the voter of their rights. We won that race. My Republican won that race with 61% of the total vote. Kind of proud of that. Worked hard on that. I'm the best candidate for this job because I've got the energy for District 71. I've got the focus for District 71. I will be the hardest working legislator in Nashville. And I've been in Nashville. I've worked in Nashville. I'm not going to get lost in the elevator. I know where I'm going. I will be the hardest working legislator in Nashville.
Thank you. Gentlemen, this will be our last question. We're running near the 90-minute mark on this. This question is, how are our borders, our southern borders, affecting the state of Tennessee? And what can we do? Let me word it this way. I've got 4 or 5 questions on this, but are the southern borders, how are they affecting, the open borders affecting the state of Tennessee? And what can we do in our state legislation to help suppress the impact that this is having on the state of Tennessee? What are your thoughts on our borders? What are your thoughts on how it's impacting the state of Tennessee? And what would you, what would you like to see done about it? So we're going to start with, I believe we start with Mitchell on this question. So, southern borders, how do you feel about them? How are they impacting the state of Tennessee? And what direction would you like to see the state of Tennessee move?
As far as the southern borders are concerned, we need to continue what President Trump started, and we need to build the wall. We need to finish the wall and close the border. Now, as far as its impact on Tennessee, is the same as it is for the entire country. It affects our crime rates because we don't know who's coming into our country. It affects our tax rates because we have people that are busted in here to live here and they are a drain on our tax system. Now, I say that and I say this: I'm not unsympathetic with people who want to come to America. I think we would all agree this is the greatest country in the world, and we're glad that we live here, and we understand that people want to come here. I have a niece who is married to an immigrant, and he did it the legal way. He came and he stood in line and paid the thousands of dollars to do this in the right way, and he's still not a citizen. He's still working towards that, but he is legal. He pays taxes. That's the way it ought to be. We should go back to the Remain in Mexico policy It's a humanitarian crisis, and those people are being hurt, and for their sake, we need to do it tomorrow.
Bill White, southern borders have an impact on the state of Tennessee, and what direction would you like to see the state of Tennessee move forward?
First of all, we need to shut it back down. It's been a disaster at the very best, quite frankly. How is it affecting Tennesseans, and particularly people in the 71st? Anybody in here get a check because you walked across the border? I don't see any hands. That's kind of what I thought. So we're handing out checks for people to come here. I don't blame them. I'd be lining up halfway through Mexico myself if that be the case, because I get why they want to come. But my goodness gracious, why should we all be paying for that? That's not what this is about. Shut it down. We're allowing what we know, as a matter of fact, are criminals to come to this country and paying them to come here. Come on, folks. We're smarter than that. So that's just shut it down. Check up. They were actually even bringing them into Chattanooga at one point in time. We can't forget about that. It's in our back door. So shut it down. Quit handing them checks. That's how it'll help each one of us, and it's how it'll help each one of our communities to keep the money where it belongs.
Kim Capley, our southern borders, what impact is it having on the state of Tennessee, and how would you like to see the state of Tennessee move forward?
Well, it's taking money out of the taxpayer's pocket. Just kind of go on about the border. We need to stop sending American lives to Mexico and let them die. Not long ago, you saw on Fox where a Border Patrol agent jumped in I think it's the Rio Grande, to save an immigrant, drowned to death. We have to shut the border down, but that's not the only solution to the problem. 7 to 8 people are killed every day in Tijuana, Mexico. Every single day. It's right on the border. We have to increase border security. The wall is a great answer, but they'll dig under it. They've done it before. They've done it numerous times. Go off what the mayor said. They were sending them here by the busload to Chattanooga. We have to vet these people because they're causing a clog, I guess you would say, in the line of people that want to come here legally. Now, I will say the people that are from the southern border usually are pretty hard workers. And I'm glad that they're coming to the great state of Tennessee, but they need to do so legally. They need to be vetted. And we need to send the proper authorities to the border in an attempt to make sure that these criminals, cartels, drug lords, pick a name, throw it in there, are not coming to the great state of Tennessee.
Thank you. Jason Rich, how are the southern borders impacting the state of Tennessee, and how would you like to see the state of Tennessee move forward?
We all know the southern border is a mess. It's one of the biggest crises of our lifetime. To make it even worse, if you're not mad already, Bill talking about them paying them to come here. They actually paid the cartel to cross the border, so we're just reimbursing them basically is what we're doing. Specifically for Tennessee, the things that come to my mind are crime, drugs, and safety. We sent our high school basketball team, our girls basketball team, to a town here in Middle Tennessee last week. They checked in at the hotel, and in about an hour, they were at the front desk asking if they could check out. Now, this is in the middle of Tennessee, guys, okay? They did not feel safe. There was too much activity going on. It's not all directly related, but we would be shocked. If you talk to your local sheriff, talk to our local sheriff, talk to police officers and city police officers, they are dealing with drugs, and they're the deadliest things we've ever seen. Now, I've said it already. We got 3 young boys at home, and the thought of losing them is something that the cartel brought over here because we can't take a stand at the border. It's heartbreaking. So, specifically for Tennessee, I think we have to address the drugs and the crime and keeping our citizens safe.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Kim Capley, Jason Rich, Mitchell Skelton, and Bill White. Can we get a hand for them, please? Early voting starts on July 15th and goes through July 30th. Election Day is on August 4th. I want to send a special thank you to the West End Community Center and all their hard work, and also to Big Oldies 100.7 for broadcasting this live. Thank you all for being here. This concludes our debate.
Whether you need to
buy or sell a piece of real estate, you can count on Brandy Buntert and BST Realty to provide the best service and make the entire process as smooth and painless as possible. Call or text 931-332-3430 to arrange a meeting to figure out how she can best help you meet your real estate needs. Buying or selling real estate doesn't have to be strenuous when you let Brandy do the heavy lifting. Call today 931-332-3430.
I told you that front tire needed air.
I know, Dad.
Where's the tire iron? I told you, always keep a tire iron and a jack.
I know, Dad. I got it. Roadside assistance is included with my shelter insurance auto policy. It's one of the reasons you told me to get it, remember?
Maybe you do listen after all.
At Shelter, listening to you is what we do best.
Contact Jason Ray or Boston Ray at 217 South Main Street, Waynesboro, 722-5592. Check out the great name brand equipment of Pickwick Saul, 1645 Wayne Road in Savannah.
Pickwick Saul has a great selection of Gravely and Skag mowers, steel trimmers, and don't forget to bring your equipment in now for a tune-up. Pickwick Saul, 1645 Wayne Road in Savannah, 731-727-8026. That's 731-727-8026.
You and your family's good health is important to your locally owned Health Mart pharmacy. We urge you to know the important numbers when it comes to your health. Monitor your blood pressure, cholesterol, and your BMI or body mass index. Knowing these numbers and having an overall fitness plan can lead to a more satisfying, active, and healthy lifestyle for you and your family. Got questions? Health Mart has the answers. We truly want to be a trusted healthcare resource for you and your family.
Visit your local Durhan's Health Mart pharmacy with locations in Waynesboro, Linden, and Hohenwald.
Whether you need to buy or sell a piece of real estate, you can count on Brandy Buntert and BST Realty to provide the best service and make the entire process as smooth and painless as possible. Call or text 931-332-3430 to arrange a meeting to figure out how she
Maybe I can go to the car wash. Get out a hole, clean up something, or work on something. I always got something to do.
Whether you need to buy or sell a piece of real estate, you can count on Brandy Buntert and BST Realty to provide the best service and make the entire process as smooth and painless as possible. Call or text 931-332-3430 to arrange a meeting to figure out how she can best help you meet your real estate needs. Buying or selling real estate doesn't have to be strenuous when you let Brandy do the heavy lifting. Call today, 931-332-3430.
I told you that front tire needed air.
I know, Dad.
Where? I told you, always keep a tire iron and a jack.
I know, Dad. I got it. Roadside assistance is included with my shelter insurance auto policy. It's one of the reasons you told me to get it, remember?
Maybe you do listen after all.
At Shelter, listening to you is what we do best.
Contact Jason Ray or
17 South Main Street, Waynesboro, 722-5592. Check out out the great name brand equipment of Pickwick Saul, 1645 Wayne Road in Savannah. Pickwick Saul has a great selection of Gravely and Skag mowers, steel trimmers, and don't forget to bring your equipment in now for a tune-up. Pickwick Saul, 1645 Wayne Road in Savannah, 731-727-8026. That's 731-727-8026.
You and your family's good health is important to your locally owned Health Mart pharmacy. We urge you to know the important numbers when it comes to your health. Monitor your blood pressure, cholesterol, and your BMI or body mass index. Knowing these numbers and having an overall fitness plan can lead to a more satisfying, active, and healthy lifestyle for you and your family. Got questions? Health Mart has the answers. We truly want to be a trusted healthcare resource for you and your family.
Visit your local Durance Health Mart pharmacy with locations in Waynesboro, Linden, and Hohenwald.
I gotta do something about that, for election night. Absolutely. I don't know what's up with that doggone thing. I'm gonna run it. I'm gonna go over and